always ready. I'm not always ready. Yeah. So our daylight savings time was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so I mentally adjusted and I was like, okay, I know now our time difference is 8 hours instead of 9. And then today we're like, okay, what time are we starting? You told me the time, but it was back to 9 because you just had daylight savings time. So I was way off. So I apologize.
So look at you. Coming in 35 minutes late.
Look at me, I'm a mess.
To the podcast, blaming it on daylight savings time.
I have no control. It's just the world.
Yeah. Just go ahead and introduce us.
Introduce, you know the name. Remember the
now
name.
You're gonna be
remember
like, remember the name. You're gonna be
it's
like,
the Heavy Leather
Podcast.
The Heavy
Leather Podcast, episode whatever.
257. It's 11.
Yes.
I remembered. It's 11 because we just had 10, and that was a big deal.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Is it not?
I don't know. I always disagree with you on that one.
That's true.
Who cares? We don't keep track anymore.
And on most other things as well. Although one thing we're both getting right is Lock of the Nights. Because what are we on, like a 12? I mean, if you added them together, we got like 12 in a row. It's a lot. Maybe more.
I think we're 8 and 5, right?
Okay. Yeah. So 13 in a row.
Yeah. Or yeah. So I'm yeah. Correct. Do you know what I do every time that we are getting on the podcast?
What's that?
I have this strange OCD thing. This big urge. Do you know what I want to say every time?
What is it?
So this is so weird. Have you seen the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Uh-huh.
When he says, "Hey Harry, old buddy, old pal."
You gonna call me Harry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you call me loads of stuff. So,
That's true.
Do you remember when he said, "Hey Harry, old buddy, old pal"?
Yeah.
I can't say it without laughing. I think he says, "Wanna join me for a good luck toast before you head out?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's when Harry is going on a date with the girl that he's in love with, and he puts laxative in his tea.
Oh yeah.
And then he says, "Hey Harry, old buddy, old pal." That's what I want to say every time. When I see you on the screen, I want to be like, "Hey Harry, old buddy, old pal." So
then
enough of that. I'm not going to do it.
Figure out a way to figuratively put laxative in my tea. Like,
yes.
Not telling me it's daylight savings time.
Yes. So every time you see me, as soon as we come on, as I come on the screen, just remember that that sentence rings in my head. It's like it's playing all over, over and over again. Oh God, it's so stupid. So enough of the Dumb and Dumber. Where are we? Well, what have you been up to since last week? Except reading up on the daylight savings time.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Has it been a whole week since last time? I remember.
It's been more than a week, right? Because we did it on Monday last week.
Yeah. Well, it's spring here, so things are blooming. I need to plant a garden. Got to get some vegetables in the ground. Yeah, it'll be good. I know you guys are still waiting for some of that snow and ice to melt.
No, actually, we don't have any snow left.
All gone.
The snow is all gone, and the ice is almost. It's not ice fishable anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were telling me that you couldn't go out on the ice anymore to fish, but I was kind of surprised. That's like you told me about how you go on the ice and you maybe bring some beers or just kind of hang out. But then I didn't realize that you drilled like a bunch of holes. And then it's like you said, when there's a fish on one of the poles, you've got like a explosive alert system. Like something actually blows up and then you have to
no, just a little firecracker thing.
Little firecracker still.
Yeah.
And then you have to sprint over and grab the pole before the fish drags it down under the frozen lake.
Yes.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that extreme.
We drill like, we drill as many holes as we got poles, of course. And now we had 10 poles from the start because my husband bought 10 poles and what do you call the reels?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but he lost one of them. I don't remember how last year. And then a fish took the one of them this year. So now we have 8 poles left.
Yeah.
So we drill 8 holes to start with. But if you don't get any fish, you can drill some more holes.
Yeah.
Try some new spots.
And
yeah, but it's great.
There's no way you can like anchor the pole to the ice so the fish doesn't like drag it under. I mean, how does it?
Yeah, we do, right? We
Yeah.
have like a construction to put the pole in.
Yeah.
But if it's a really big fish, or if you're not, what do you call it? Tentative? No, attentive.
Yeah, attentive. Yep.
If for some reason the firecracker doesn't go off and you don't see the flag that waves when you have a fish on, I don't know why those two things would occur. But of course the pole can get out of its thingy and go down the hole.
Yeah.
And it did once this year. So now there's a northern pike swimming in the Lake of Rossum, as it's named, with a very expensive fishing pole dragging after him.
Well, he probably got loose. I mean, if he was smart enough to get the pole, he probably.
You think so?
Probably using it himself now.
Yeah, probably to fish for perch.
Yep, exactly. Trying to fish for smaller fish. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but that's what I've been doing at least once. I don't remember when it was, last week.
Yeah.
And then it got very, very warm and sunny. So no ice fishing anymore.
Yeah.
This year.
And what do you replace ice fishing with when you get done with that?
Regular fishing.
Fishing that's less work.
No, we actually do other stuff as well. But yeah lots of fishing going on here in this hillbilly town of Sweden, Scandinavia, Europe.
Yes, the town of Sweden.
this town of actually Horndal, it's called, where I live. Sweden, Scandinavia, Europe, planet Earth.
What
you ever heard of it? You ever heard of Horndal?
Not before we started talking. No, I hadn't. I mean, I'd heard of Stockholm. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
Maybe that's because nobody has heard of this little town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of the world is like that, right? It's like you even look at the U.S., it's like, what cities have you heard of here? I mean, granted, there are a lot of big cities. It's a big country, but
now, where did you live again?
Well, yes, I live in a big city. I live in Los Angeles, but
never heard of it.
Yeah, but I grew up in Missouri. So I grew up in Columbia, which nobody has heard of. I mean, there are a lot of cities actually named Columbia, but still, it's not that big.
It's actually a country named Columbia as well.
It's true. Yeah.
You didn't know?
I do know. Spelled slightly different, but yes.
Columbia, the city, is spelled with a U.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, with a U. And
see, I know things.
You do know things.
I do.
Sometimes you drink and you know things.
Who said that? I was Tyron. Tyron
Lannister. Yeah.
Oh God, Tyrion Lannister. Not Tyron Woodley, but I'm sure he knows things as well.
I didn't want to correct you because
no, but I corrected myself.
I'm hoping that becomes a meme now someday. Maybe if Tyron gets off the Valium and starts drinking more, that can be a Tyron Woodley.
He takes Valium and he knows things.
Exactly.
Great. That's great. I mean, how many memes have you got stocked on me now?
Yeah. I was thinking the other day what the best meme of the year is so far.
Tyron Lannister.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yes. Move on.
I feel like Paulo Costa saying I disapprove 100%. I've seen that one pop up a lot.
I disapprove.
I disapprove.
Yeah, I know, but he says disapprove.
Oh, that's true.
Like jizz.
I didn't catch that actually.
You didn't,
I
but
did.
that's what they always write on the memes. I disapprove.
Okay.
They spell it Jizz.
I will pay attention to
Approve.
that next time.
Oh God, you missed the whole point of the meme.
I did. I didn't even know what I was laughing at.
Oh, this is getting out of control.
Yeah.
So, where are we starting off today?
I was so keen on Lock of the Nights because we're on this amazing streak right now. And here in
Yes,
the US,
should we talk more about the Luck of the Nights?
for sure. Yeah. So
Since I'm 8 and you're 5.
right now here in the US, a lot of people are betting. This might be, other than the Super Bowl, the biggest betting event of the year is college basketball is having its big tournament right now. So the 64 best men's and women's teams play in a big tournament and decide who the college champion is. And so that's been going on for the past week. And sports betting has not been legal in the US for most of my life, but now, like, slowly, state by state, it's becoming legal. So I've got a friend in Maryland. Is it Maryland? Yeah, who it's or Virginia actually. Yeah, it's legal there now. So he can download the app and do sports bets. And so he started texting me and my other friends. He's like, "Hey, let me know if you want to make some bets." And so he sent me this sheet the other day, a big spreadsheet of like the bets he's been making for me and my friends. And I made like 3-4 bets. I bet like $70 over the course of the week. And I looked at the spreadsheet and they had made hundreds and hundreds of bets and bet thousands of dollars. This is like 3 other friends of mine. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" like this friend has like 2 little kids, like he's got a busy job.
Oof.
And he's being this bookie. He's just like making massive amounts of bets. But it's really, really funny. And I was like, Marguerite and I are on a what did we just say? 13 fight winning streak with our Lock of the Nights. It's like,
Yes.
how am I not betting on that? That's crazy.
Do you know what I did though?
What's that?
I made a 7-fight parlay this week.
Oh, wow.
Last weekend.
You're not even trying to win.
Did I get it?
7 fights is so many.
Did I get it though?
Anything over 3 is crazy. I don't know. Did you?
I got it.
No.
I got it. The only fights that weren't in it was the main and the co-main.
That's insane.
Tyrion Lannister and what's his face?
Good old
Francis Ngannou. Those 2 fights weren't in it because I seriously had absolutely no clue.
What's
about
his
those. Well, I could have had Luke A in there because
that was my Lock of the Night. Come on.
Yeah. But you never know with that overhand
trust.
right
No
of Woodley. Yeah, but 7-fight parlay, and I got it.
Okay, so break it down for me real quick. Who was on it?
Who was on it? Oh God, I have it on my phone, but I can look at the prelims. It was
well, maybe you can tell me off the top of your head. I'll tell you the winners right now: Sean O'Malley, Miranda.
Yeah, I can see him here. It was Omar Morales.
Okay. On the prelims?
Yes. And then my Luck of the Night, Michael Oleksichuk.
Uh-huh.
And then I had Abubakar Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
How many is that? That's 3. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I had, of course, I had Miranda Maverick.
Okay. 4.
I had Jamie Malarkey.
5.
I had Sean O'Malley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I don't like that. And I had Alonso Manifield. So everyone on the, yes, all the prelims and a couple of main carders.
I've never even heard of someone winning a 7.
Actually, my husband made a 8-fight parlay like a couple of months ago, and he got it.
Holy crap.
It was insane, and he didn't even ask me for advice. He made
insane.
it. He made it all by himself, and I actually shit on it right away. I was like, you're never gonna get that one. That was crap.
No, you should.
And he got it.
So what did you bet? What were your odds?
I mean, there weren't any major favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe Nurmagomedov could have been, but they were really crappy odds this time. So I think I bet like I have to convert it into dollars, like
Oh, that's fine. Tell us in
12,
dollars.
$13 maybe,
Mhm.
because I didn't think that I was going to get it.
Yeah,
And I won like, what was it, $120?
that sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
something
wild.
like that.
That's so wild.
Afterwards I was like, oh God, why didn't I bet like, I don't know,
You,
$50 or something.
because that's crazy. No one should win a 7 fight
I
parlay.
know, I know, but now my confidence is like through the roof. So now I'm
How could
gonna
it not be?
bet my house on
That's
everything.
unbelievable. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, now
I know.
I feel like I have to put my money where my mouth is, because that's, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I shouldn't.
I was pretty impressed by
I don't.
myself.
I don't even deserve to be on the same podcast with you now, because
No, it was great, but I mean, I didn't. I only bet on Alonso Manifield because he got that last minute replacement. So
Mm,
I put him in there as well.
yeah. I mean, how many of these did you really feel confident about?
Well, you could just listen to the last episode of the podcast to
Um,
know that I knew that Nurmagomedov was going to win.
that's true.
Alexeychuk was going to win.
That's
We
true.
didn't mention Omar Morales, so but I wasn't really sure about that. But I was rooting for him anyway. Anyway, and then Sean O'Malley, yes, of course he was going to win.
Yeah.
The other guy lost 4 in a row, and Miranda Maverick, I said it on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jamie Malarkey was actually an underdog.
Yeah.
But no, I figured, I mean, Karma Worthy is getting old. And remember I said that Jillian Robertson tends to lose.
Yes, you did.
I
No,
did.
you said she always loses.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I meant she tends to lose.
Uh-huh.
I didn't mean to shit on her that way. She doesn't always lose, but she tends
But
to be a
she
little loosey
she
from time to time.
she's in one of those losing phases.
Mhm.
I got to say, I watched the Bukowskis versus Alexachuk fight, and
And you thought of me the whole time.
I did. It looked pretty close. I mean, Alexachuk kind of.
Bukauskas didn't look very good though, did he?
I mean, it was a very.
He was backing up.
Right. Alexachuk, I felt like what he did a good job of controlling the center of the octagon, pressing forward. But Bukowskis landed a lot of good shots, especially kicks. Like, I think Alexachuk was just a little more poised in there. But watching it, I was like, I don't know. Like, it was a good fight. I'll say that. It was a good
But
fight.
we all know about the legendary Polish power, right?
That's true.
Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah.
I always say Jan, and that's like an
You're Americanizing it for me?
Iranian name, Jan.
Yeah.
No, but how about the legendary Polish pressure though?
It was good. Yeah.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah. He didn't knock him out, but he was all over him.
It was great. He looked great. I mean, he looks like he doesn't look very athletic, right?
He does not. No, it's like you like those guys. You like Sergey, the polar bear.
I like all the dad bods.
Yeah, all the dad bods. Apparently, you're at that stage.
Or age. Was that what was your?
No,
were you gonna
no.
say or that age?
I said stage.
The
Stage.
stage.
You
What
know,
is that stage?
you
The
know,
dad bod stage?
when you're like 25 and you are into dad bods.
Actually, I'm 27. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I passed. I'm at that stage.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. So we will come to your lock of the night. But Miranda Maverick, though,
She looks great.
looked great. Wins by UD.
Yeah.
Showcased a punishing striking arsenal, I think.
Yep.
I don't know, some surprising grappling skills.
There was a bit of that on this card. More than one fighter on here had some surprising grappling skills.
Yes, and some surprising striking skills for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So only 23 years old, Miranda Maverick. I'm super excited to see who she gets next.
Who do you think would be a good matchup for her? Do you have anybody in mind?
That's so hard.
I mean, is she
She is ranked now, 15.
right? So that's what I was going to ask. Is she, just another one there in the next sort of 5 opponents, or is it something where you think
Yes,
she
just,
deserves the top 10?
I don't know, just let her maul Macy Barber, maybe.
Okay. It looks like she called out Antonina Shevchenko,
Yeah, she's
um,
ranked number 12.
which
So
would be
that's a good call out.
that'd be a good one ranking wise, and also probably skill wise too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But only
Shevchenko.
23. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's impressive, and
Finally, we can get excited for a female fighter, I think.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's one of those things too. It's like when a fighter is that young, if they have some ups and downs, like it's not a big deal, you know. Um, she may
Hmm.
get into the top 10 and lose one or two, but that's all good. It's like because she's a baby in the sport. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So did you watch Jared Gooden versus Nurmagomedov?
I didn't actually. I'm ashamed. Was it a good fight?
I mean, it was supposed to be a striker versus grappler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a little amazed that you didn't watch it because Nurmagomedov outstruck Jared Gooden, like
Mm-hmm.
totally. Gooden was very surprised and I think overwhelmed by Nurmagomedov's striking. He
Yeah,
didn't even attempt a takedown until the third round, if I'm not totally out of it right now, but I think he didn't even attempt one until the third round. So that was an amazing fight. Very, very good win for Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov.
yeah. It's that famous Dagestani pressure,
Yes, yes, very much so.
except not
And
all on the
then
ground.
no, very surprised. I was very surprised also. So now we're on the main card here,
Yeah,
and we've already talked about Miranda Maverick. Ah, yeah, she was on the main card.
yeah.
So how about what do you think about the Sugar Show? Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida.
Man, we've spent so much time complaining about his sort of uh
Mentally undefeated
yeah,
record.
his attitude, I guess, since his first actual loss. And then watching him fight, I'm like, it's hard to not like this guy. He's really,
Hmm.
really good. I mean, Thomas Almeida is a veteran. He's 22-5. Like he's a great fighter. And Sean O'Malley just dominated that fight.
Hmm.
Got the knockdown in the first round and tried to walk off, but Almeida was still in it. Again, just a little cocky, a little bit,
Mm.
too worried about trying to get the I don't know, the viral
Yeah.
little clip or something. And it's like, I don't know. And then he finally did get the finish in the third round, but he just controlled it so well. And then Dominic Cruz apparently called out Sean O'Malley during Chael Sonnen's podcast.
Yes.
What do you think about that potential matchup? Because that's like former title holder, arguably the best bantamweight of all time, calling out Sean O'Malley. Is that a good matchup?
Mm. I think it's a good matchup. But I don't know. Does Sean O'Malley deserve it though? You think?
Um, what's interesting because I feel like it's less about what Sean O'Malley deserves and more about Dominic Cruz. It's really interesting what Dominic Cruz is doing right now because he's mostly fought for the title for years and years and years. He's either been defending it or maybe he'll come back from injury, have one tune-up fight, and then fight for the title. And now he's in this funny place where he lost to Cejudo, and he took that fight on short notice, and he lost it not very controversially, but he was upset about the stoppage. And now he just seems to want to fight up and comers, which is not something that you see someone in the later stages of their career, someone who's used to fighting for the title, doing that. And he sort of volunteered to kind of be a gatekeeper, which is really interesting. And I think it says a lot about Dominic Cruz and his attitude and just always wanting to prove himself.
But
So
are there any easy fights from now on? I mean, for Dominic Cruz, he's ranked number 9.
Yeah. Well, that was sort of his point. He doesn't think there are any easy fights in the division.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably true. And so certainly if he just wants to capitalize off a big name, there's no bigger up and coming name than Sean O'Malley in the bantamweight division right now. So from that perspective, it makes sense, but it is, rankings wise, it's a bit of a step down for him for sure. I also think stylistically, it's kind of a bad matchup for him.
I think so too, but I think, do you think he thinks like great risk, great reward?
He must, but Dominic Cruz for most of his career has been very much a sort of hit and don't get hit fighter, and not even, kind of the consummate point fighter. I was watching a clip the other day that someone was breaking down of him when he fought TJ Dillashaw, and it was kind of amazing. And I remember it was a short clip, and I was annoyed just watching the clip because he was so good at drawing Dillashaw in, getting Dillashaw to throw combinations and hit nothing but air. And then Cruz would just touch him once. He would just touch him. And the thing would start over. Dillashaw would throw a combo. Cruz wouldn't be there. And he'd just touch him. Like, it was the most ridiculous. And it was just all footwork. There is something beautiful about it. But as a fight fan who's showing up expecting like blood and, it's a really annoying style to watch. But those two fighters are very similar in height, in reach, and even stylistically, there's some similarities. But you look at O'Malley, like, he's got that sort of Conor McGregor stance, early Conor McGregor stance, wide karate stance, bouncing on his feet, in and out. And like Jon Jones, uses his reach really, really well. And he may be the tallest guy with the longest reach in the division. I don't know. If he's not, he's certainly up there. So you've got a guy who has some really outstanding attributes as a fighter, and really
and some great precision also.
Yeah, very accurate. It's like I don't see Dominic Cruz with his footwork being able to draw Sean O'Malley into missing and having a bunch of wasted shots, because Sean O'Malley is also very patient, very good at feints, very good at luring his opponents in. So I think in both of them playing the game that they like to play, I just think it's a bad matchup stylistically for Cruz. I think O'Malley will be patient. I think he'll pick his shot. And I think, it could be a really bad night. I think it could be Dominic Cruz getting knocked out, personally.
Yeah, if I'm Sean O'Malley, I take that fight right away.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, yes. Except that yesterday.
Very much so.
Yeah, and as much as his personality lately has been a little abrasive, I was also doing some reading and had forgotten that, when Sean O'Malley had that huge layoff where there was some USADA stuff, he'd had some injuries, and I forget what it was. It was like, seemed like it was almost 2 years where he didn't really fight. And he did some, you're going to love this, did a Fortnite tournament and placed in it and won like $27,000 and gave it to charity, which at the time was just sort of like, okay, this guy hasn't worked in like, 1 or 2 years, and he wins a bunch of money, he just gives it to charity. So anyway, all that to say, it's like, I don't want to totally just bash Sean O'Malley. Like, he's also,
no, but we want to see him in there though, right?
Yes.
I don't necessarily want to hear the interviews or follow him on Instagram or be a fan maybe in that way, but we want to see him fight. That's what we want to see.
For sure. He's of that generation though, who's all over social media and video games, and the opposite of Dominic Cruz or Keith Peterson, who,
yeah.
When they get done with the fight, they just go back to their huts and smoke cigarettes and drink beer. And
but we want to see. Let's see the Sugar Show versus the Dominator.
That would be fantastic. I would love to see that.
I'm fixing to see it. I'm fixing to watch it.
I'm sure you are. Yeah. And then you have my lock of the night.
Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. Great fight, as long as it lasted.
Yeah. Were you surprised about anything that happened during this fight? Because we saw Tyron Woodley come out very differently, way more aggressive.
Yes.
His last few fights, he just looked like he didn't want to be in there. Looked like he might have been on
Mm-hmm.
Valium. I don't know, but it's just like he
Mm-hmm.
didn't throw anything. He wasn't aggressive. I think when we saw Woodley as a champion or coming up as a contender to be champion, he had this certain focus. Like his style was interesting because it was very much counter striker style. Like, and you knew that going into it. Like, I think whether it was his opponent or the fans, it's like you knew Tyron Woodley was just going to like wait for that big shot. And in those other fights, it's like he wasn't, when he lost to Kamaru Usman, when he lost to Colby Covington, when he lost to Gilbert Burns, he didn't look like he was waiting for a big shot. He just looked like he was waiting. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really make much sense.
No, it
He was
didn't.
getting out wrestled. Granted, he was fighting 3 great wrestlers, but Tyron Woodley is also a champion wrestler. So for him to be getting out grappled was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And but here we saw like vintage Tyron Woodley. He lost, but I mean, he came out and was just throwing bombs. I mean, and a few of them even landed, but Luque just got ahead like a cinder block. Like, very hard to hurt that guy.
Mm-hmm. I heard Dana White saying on the post-fight press conference that he thinks that Tyron Woodley should retire. I don't
Yes,
know how I feel about that, actually.
I don't either. And yeah, the journalist asked the obvious question of, what's next for Tyron, or is this the end for Tyron? And Dana White was like, he's 39, he's 0-4 in his last 4 fights. He was like, yeah, I think this is the end, which I don't know. It would be unusual, I think, for Dana White to say something like that, and then for Tyron to get more fights. I believe this also might have been the end of his contract, but it seems everything that Tyron has said indicates that he wants to keep fighting. So
Yeah, and he won't have any problems finding opponents because everyone wants to beat the former champ.
everyone wants to make their
It
name off of
seems.
him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think, though, because I would say everyone he's lost to, in my opinion, I mean, the last 3 guys were definitively
Mm-hmm.
top 5. I think Vincent
Yes.
Luque, talent-wise, belongs there in the top 5. And so it's not like he's losing to bad guys. Like he's only losing to killers. And I think once he gets out of that top 5, he could be a problem for a lot of guys still. So I think that's where maybe I also feel a little mixed about it. Like I'm a little like, you know what, this is not Tyron Woodley's not a guy who can't fight anymore. He could take out a lot of guys, I think. But, it's like he's never taken that step back so far. Like we look at some fighters who've had some tough losses recently, Tony Ferguson, and they're taking a step back in competition for the next fight. I mean, granted, Tony's fighting Beneil Dariush, who's very tough in the top 10 now. But it's not a top 5 guy, right? So it's a little step down. He's giving himself a little bit of a break, and I think that's smart at a certain point. And I mean, Tyron kind of did that in this fight because technically, Luque was in the top 10, not the top 5. But for my money, Luque's top 5. Like that dude's a killer. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
He's looked impressive quite a few times now.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, trains with the best guys, trained with Usman for a long time, still trains with Gilbert Burns. He's a beast. So I think what was sad watching this fight was Tyron Woodley threw all these bombs, had Luque backing up a little bit. And then Luque just caught him with one counter, like one check hook. And it was just the beginning of the end. And so I think that was the bummer, was just like Tyron going in there, being kind of wild, and then Luque just throwing one precision shot. And then that was pretty much fight over. Landed some more shots, got the submission. So I think if there's an argument for like Tyron Woodley should maybe be done, it's that when he got hurt, he wasn't able to get himself in a safe position where he could like recover, and Joe Rogan said the other day that he thinks Stipe may retire, and kind of a similar thing you could argue there maybe where, and I'm jumping ahead here, but the Stipe Ngannou fight, when Ngannou hurt him in the second round, it was really interesting. Stipe charged back at Ngannou.
Mm.
Like Ngannou,
Big mistake.
Yeah, it was a fight-ending mistake. And what I wondered in watching that was when Ngannou hurt him, like he hit him with a 1-2 and then had him up against the cage. Stipe fired back, got Ngannou off him a little bit, and then kept charging forward. And I couldn't help but wonder in the moment how if that would have gone differently if after Stipe created some space, if he would have just backed up, given himself a minute to recover. Like, could that have gone differently? Could the fight at least have been extended? Like, I don't know if he could have. I don't know if I'm not saying he would have like lasted the rest of the round because Francis is a monster, but it's just hard to know. Like, certainly I think him charging in at Francis was a huge mistake because then Francis just caught him with that hook, and then his lights were out and his legs.
A nasty knockout too. Very nasty. Ooh.
Yeah.
And his leg all folded. Oh, it was not good.
Yeah, when guys are like 40 or almost 40, it's like you just don't want to see him take that kind of punishment. So this is where we need the UFC senior tour, where you have the guys who are like, it really seems like 37 is kind of the magic number where.
So you're saying Cowboy is getting old?
Cowboy's for sure old. You seen the gray in that dude's beard? Come on.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
It's not an insult to say that he's old. Everybody gets old.
So I'm old too?
We're not fighters. He's old for a fighter.
We're not fighters?
Yes. If I was going to be in the cage, you would say that I am old.
So we're just hobby podcasters?
Yeah, we're young podcasters. Young and hip.
Young and hip and not fighters.
Yeah, but if we were fighters right now, we would be old and busted. So
I thought that I was a fighter.
That's
I ref fights every weekend.
Oh, you do?
4:00 in the Sunday mornings.
Are you?
I'm a ref. I'm a judge. I'm everything.
Yeah.
I fight. Sometimes I'm in there like, God.
You actually fight, or you just think you're fighting because
I think
because you're in there dancing around, or because you're kicking your son's legs out from under them.
I have to keep them in check until they're at least 18, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we exchange leg kicks now and then in the hallway.
Did you see that clip of Francis Ngannou? He was at a gym, and some guy who was like literally half his size was holding a kicking pad, and Francis just kicked it so hard he just kicked the guy's legs out from under him. I was like, "This."
Why would you even? I mean,
don't sign up for that.
Sign up for that.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is Margreth and her kids all the time. She's just chopping them down."
Who's holding the pads and who's kicking?
Yeah, there are no pads at home. It's just no holds barred.
No, they can hold a cutting board or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, hey, stop playing Fortnite. Wham.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a head kick because they're already sitting down anyway.
Yeah. We train lots of things over here in Horndal, Sweden.
Yeah, just like go to sleep or I will put you to sleep.
Yes. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
No, but great fight. I mean, totally deserving champion. We can't say anything about that. It was, a great fight. Great performance by Francis Ngannou. And patient Ngannou is lethal, right?
So scary. I mean, we saw coming into this fight, the story, everyone was like, what is Francis going to do differently? It's been a couple years since his last title fight, so you have to assume that he's been training, working on different things. But he looked so good in everything he did. I mean, every fight leading up to this, he's went in there throwing haymakers, only threw punches, and just knocked people out in like a minute. And in this fight, didn't do that same wild stuff he's been doing. Was super patient, threw leg kicks, threw a nasty looking head kick, threw body punches, threw head punches. Stipe tried to take him down. He sprawled perfectly, transitioned, took Stipe's back. I mean, he looked like Kamaru Usman in there defending that takedown. I was just like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. That's terrifying. Like, if you can't wrestle this dude, you've got nothing.
Just wait until Jon Jones
Is that so that's the real
Gets
question. That's the
gets
hype this
there.
week. Is that happening? Is the Jon Jones fight happening?
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Because
Jon
Jon Jones,
Jones is going to be my lock of the night when it happens.
okay. Before we even get to that though,
You're like, okay.
how much should Jon Jones be paid for this fight? Because
Loads.
I think so, right? Like here's
Compared to like do you know that guy from Ireland?
what's
What's
his
his name?
name?
McTapper?
Connor McGregor.
McGregor.
McGriddle. Yeah.
Yes, McSkittles.
Yes.
Compared to him,
Yeah.
oh my God,
I mean, Jon
he's
Jones.
he's worth at least as much as Conor McGregor.
Jon Jones is the greatest UFC fighter, greatest champion of all time, right? I mean, this is the super fight of all super fights. It
Yes,
would be the fight of the year.
pay the man.
Yeah, I think it would have to easily be one of the top 5 pay-per-views of all time in terms of
Get your
viewers.
wallet out, Dana White.
It would have to be. And here's the thing, like if you don't want to pay him a ton of money up front, fine, give him pay-per-view points. Be like, here's you get this cut of the pay-per-view. You're going to make as much money as you can bring in. So then it's like, let him earn it.
Yeah.
You don't have. I think he would go for that. I think most fighters would, especially if you know that you're going up against a guy like Francis, who's got all the hype in the world right now. So, I mean, that's what would make sense to me if I was in there negotiating. But I have no idea what he's asking for, if he just wants a ton of money up front. But I got to ask you, did you see Dana White's comments in the post-fight about Jon Jones? How did you feel about that? Because you're a giant Jon Jones fan. I'm a Jon Jones fan, but not on the same level. And
I feel like Dana White is sometimes trying to be a bit of an asshole, right?
Right.
He's actually trying.
Yeah.
Correct?
I think so. Yeah, I felt like he sounded foolish. Like his line.
He's like, call Hunter right now.
Yeah. Operators are standing by. Like he's like selling some, I don't know, magical toilet wand at 2 a.m. in the morning on an infomercial or something. It's like, and he always says the same thing. He's like, well, guys say they want the fight, but do they really want it? It's like, yes, he clearly wants it. He just wants to be paid because he's defended a belt 15 times. He doesn't want to just be paid for, he wants to be paid for who he is, like what he's accomplished in the sport. He deserves this. It's like Khabib always says when he was like trying to get that title shot, but Conor kept messing up everything. He was just like beating down his opponents and being like, I need this title shot. I deserve this. This. Just taking out all his frustration on his opponents because
why does he shit on Jon Jones all the time though? He doesn't do that. I mean, I could.
He does it to other fighters. He definitely does to other fighters.
The huge ones, does he really?
He did it to Poirier not that long ago. When what fight were they trying? They're trying to put some fight together.
Yeah, but you can't compare Dustin Poirier to Jon Jones.
No. Well, the thing is, like, Jon Jones is very outspoken too. Like when he feels like he's not being treated the way he wants to be treated, he tweets a lot. He's very vocal. So it's a little bit different. Like other fighters would be like, hey man, I never said that I didn't want the fight. We just couldn't agree on the money and that's why it didn't happen, which is the truth. Like when you're talking about these guys like Jon Jones, Dustin Poirier, whoever else, it's like, there's no question. And any fan who questions this is also foolish. Like it's no question these guys want the fight. They just want to be paid what they think they're worth because they're prize fighters. This is a business. Like this is their job.
This is a very, I mean, lost the word.
Dangerous?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say aggressive. This is a very aggressive matchup.
It is an aggressive matchup.
This is a very dangerous fight for Jon Jones to take. I mean, who would take it?
Yeah.
Well, so, of course, pay the man.
You know what maybe annoyed me more than even all of Dana White's Jon Jones comments, where, he was like questioning whether Jon Jones really wanted the fight or whatever, it was him saying, finally we have some good heavyweights. He said, finally we have some good heavyweights. I was like, motherfucker, you just cut two of the greatest heavyweights of all time and didn't even say anything. You cut Junior Dos Santos, former champion, and Alistair Overeem, who was not a UFC champion, but a champion in a lot of other organizations.
But I mean, who did he refer to though? Did he refer to Francis Ngannou? Did he just get good?
Right, that too. Also, Daniel Cormier just retired. It's like you just lost a lot of great heavyweights from this division. And now you're saying, like, finally we have some great heavyweights. It's like, okay, let's look at the great heavyweights that you have. Francis Ngannou. Let's say Stipe retires. Because right now, here are the potential matchups for Francis Ngannou. You have rematch with Stipe, right? They're 1-1. So third fight makes sense. You have Derek Lewis, who's on a great winning streak, knocked out a ton of dudes. That fight makes sense. And then you have Jon Jones. Maybe if you decide to pay the man, you can get Jon Jones. So it's like you've got three potential fights for Ngannou. If Stipe retires, if you don't pay Jon Jones when he once gets paid, you have Derek Lewis to fight Francis. And then what do you have? Volkov? You have Volkov.
Nope.
No?
No. Never gotten. I mean, Volkov. No.
Well,
no. You have like Tom Aspinall. He's ranked 13, but that's not. I mean, I know, and that's not great heavyweights. I mean, that's prospects. You have. I mean, you have a lot of great heavyweight prospects, but I don't know where his head is at.
No, I do think Volkov is up there. Former Bellator champion. He's beaten some good guys. He beat Overeem last time. I think after Derek Lewis, if you take out Stipe and Jon Jones, I think Volkov would probably be next after Lewis. But then it's like, the point is, if you take away Stipe, who could retire, if you take away Jon Jones, who you might not pay to fight, then all you have is Derek Lewis. And then you have no good contenders in the division. And now you're saying, finally, we have some good heavyweights. It's like, no,
it's crazy.
Your division is very thin still. Like, yeah, there's some very good heavyweights. There are some heavyweights I'm excited about. You have some guys who are well-rounded and talented. I think that's more to the point. It's like, there are some fighters in the heavyweight division who have like good all-around skills and are more technical than heavyweights we've seen in the past. And so that's cool. But also, you just lost some of your best heavyweights in Dos Santos, Cormier, Overeem. So it felt like him shitting on all these other heavyweights by saying, well, now we have some good heavyweights. I didn't understand the comment at all.
No, me neither.
Because I was like, if you can't get Stipe to rematch Ngannou, if you can't get Jon Jones to fight, you have Derek Lewis, which was the most boring fight in history the last time these guys fought. So I don't understand, like, what he thinks his negotiating power, his leverage is. Like, you need Jon Jones. You need him. Like, they need Jon Jones more than he needs them, in my opinion. And this, we could get deeper in the business side here. So, like, Endeavor, this big Hollywood talent agency, owns the UFC, right? They own 51%. And then there are two other investment firms that own 45%, and some other small investors own the remaining 5%, right? So I was reading the other day, Endeavor is trying to buy out all the other owners. So they'll own 100% of the UFC. Last year during the pandemic, because so much of Endeavor's business is entertainment, and the entertainment industry was shut down for like 9 or 10 months last year, they lost 80% of their revenue. It's pretty much all their revenue and all of their value as a company now is the UFC. Partly because of the pandemic, partly because the UFC is growing so fast. And so they're kind of putting all their eggs in that basket. They're like, we want to go all in on the UFC because it's the fastest growing sport in the world. It's now one of the biggest sports in the world. And it's where most of the value of our company comes from now. And so what they're doing is they're trying to sell stock in their parent company in Endeavor to raise cash to buy out the other owners of the UFC, which is kind of ironic because their parent company is worth less. Like their company that owns the UFC is worth less than the UFC itself. It's sort of hilarious. So they're going to raise the money from their parent company that's worth less to buy out the rest of the UFC. So, and then maybe someday the UFC will be a public company. You can buy stock in it, which I would buy the shit out of UFC stock.
Me too. And I haven't ever bought stocks. Stock or stocks?
Yeah. You,
I haven't
usually you would buy stocks. I mean,
stocks.
unless you're buying like Amazon when it's like $2,000 a share, then you might buy stock, one share of stock.
Could buy just stocks from like different, I mean, specific fighters.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying stock in the BMF ranch.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yes. Let's do it.
And then you could have shareholders meetings with Cowboy.
How great would that be? On
That would
Zoom?
be,
Now I would
Zoom.
just have to get over there.
Yeah, you would. You'd have to show up for the one in
Yes.
person every once in a while.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
I would make it happen.
Imagine what the boardroom at the BMF ranch would look like. They'd be drinking
Wild.
They'd be drinking Budweiser.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I'm in. Come in.
Yeah,
So,
if Cowboy didn't like the advice of the shareholders, he would just start head kicking people.
yeah. he could head kick me.
Good of you to
I'll go for that.
volunteer.
Yes.
Yeah, but I guess
So-
all that to say about the Endeavor business is like they need Jon Jones, right? Like, Mark Wahlberg or whoever else is on their payroll, the movie stars aren't out there making money for them.
No.
The fighters are making the money.
Mhm.
Pay the fucking fighters. That's
Yes.
all I'm saying.
Pay the shit out of them
Yeah.
right now. So over to the most significant thing on the podcast,
Mhm.
the Bra eller Anus,
Oh, yes.
which you by now have learned to master and pronounce perfectly.
So spot on.
Are you starting or am I?
Go for it.
Okay. Bra eller Anus, the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren stare down. Tough one.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like their whole press conference, I would say honest because, which by the way I didn't watch. I would
But
watch 2
only
seconds
stare
of it.
down.
Yeah, I would watch 2 seconds of a clip of that and be like, I can't listen. That's Jake Paul, dude. I would say bra
Mm-hmm.
because Askren is the man, and his face slap was amazing.
In his flip-flops.
Yeah, he didn't even look at him. He just didn't even look at him. Just palmed his face.
I know. So do you have any for me?
Do I do it? It probably would have been Dana White stuff. I'll give you one though. Jon Jones, Bra eller Honest, Jon Jones saying, "Just cut me already. Just fucking let me go."
Is it getting a little old? The "cut me already" phrase?
He said it a few times now. Yeah,
Mm.
he's brought it up, I think, quite a bit since he decided to move to heavyweight.
Yes.
It seems like there's some frustration there.
So you're only referring to the "just cut me."
Yeah, just the tweet from this week, which I believe was yesterday.
Very much honest.
Yeah.
Don't go saying that you're quitting on me. No, I don't want to see any talk about Jon Jones quitting from him or from anyone else. So very, very much honest.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I hope that, I feel like there's a better way for him to kind of speak out and say, I'm just trying to get paid what I'm worth.
Excuse me, 1 minute.
Yeah. We have a snoring dog here, and it's fine. He's just very sleepy. Yep. She's taking him off the bed, putting him maybe in a dog bed, maybe in jail. We're not really sure.
Who are you talking to?
What'd you do with the dog?
Well, she was snoring.
She was snoring.
And I could. Why didn't
hilarious.
you tell me? I could actually hear her, even with my headphones on.
Yeah, it was impressive.
How crazy! How crazy! Oh my god. Okay, she's not in here anymore. Where were we? Yeah, the Jon Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of somebody the other day who did a good job. I mean, I feel like there's an easy case to make. Like Jon Jones could easily look up some numbers and be like, hey, this is what I feel like I'm worth based on my time in the company, based on what I've done with pay-per-views, everything else, you know, like he could hire somebody to break down the numbers on his side. And if the UFC doesn't want to listen, he could make an appeal to fans. There's a really interesting scenario recently where, are you familiar with comedian Dave Chappelle?
Mm-hmm.
So Dave Chappelle, he got famous initially for doing his Chappelle show for Comedy Central, and then stepped away from comedy for, I believe, at least a couple of years, and then came back, and he's mostly been doing stand-up. But Chappelle's show just got licensed on a bunch of digital platforms, Netflix, some other ones. And Netflix has also been doing a lot of new content with Dave Chappelle, filming his stand-up specials and things like that. So they're excited to do business with him. And when Dave Chappelle did Chappelle's show, he was kind of a no-name and young guy, signed a bad contract where he didn't get any of the money from licensing the show or anything else, none of the usual kickback that you usually get as an actor or performer, or especially someone who creates something. You should always be getting paid in perpetuity for that. And that wasn't in his contract. So he was upset about it, rightly so, because I mean, he didn't even get like the baseline sort of standard contract when he did that show, apparently. And he just went to the fans and he was like, hey, this is the situation. I created this show. I know you guys love it. This is why I'm famous, but I'm not getting paid for it. He's like, and legally, that's okay because that's the contract I signed, but I feel like it's fucked up. And so I would appreciate it if you guys would not watch it because, you know, I need them to pay me. This is my work. It wouldn't exist without me. And it worked, like, kind of shockingly. Netflix was like, hey, we like doing business with you, so we're going to take Chappelle's show off our platform. And the fans, I guess, didn't watch. And eventually the owner of Comedy Central and everybody who owned that content went back to Chappelle and were like, hey, we'll pay you. And so they paid him. And now Chappelle shows back on Netflix. Everybody's happy. So I don't know. The problem with the UFC is, like, I don't know if there's any way to make a case or strong arm them or use any leverage to, like, get them to pay Jon Jones what he's worth. And I don't know if, like, the fans are the right sort of fans who are going to back him up on that. The problem, as much as people want to say the UFC isn't a monopoly, it's kind of a monopoly. And it's not just that they're like the biggest name in the sport. I mean, there is Bellator and guys are getting paid good money in Bellator and stuff, but the problem is the way they write their contracts. It's like the fighters are locked in as if they're employees, right? It's like the contract says that they're freelancers. Well, a freelancer can work for anyone. If you sign a contract with the UFC, you can only fight for the UFC unless they give you special permission to, you know, do a funny boxing match or something like that. You can only fight for the UFC. Like, they own you. And so it's crazy for fighters to be owned by the company, but not be treated like employees. You know, to not have.
Yeah, but to be, I mean, I don't know, but one aspect is also that we don't know how much Jon Jones wants, right?
Yes, of course. It's hard to argue about it without knowing that, you know, because if he's
Maybe he wants some astronomical sum.
yeah, I mean, he may be asking for like 100 million or something crazy. I don't know. I think it's, I guess my perception has been he wants Conor McGregor money type thing. And not like Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather money, but like Conor McGregor versus somebody else in the UFC money.
Yes. And I think that's fair.
It's 100% deserved.
Yes.
Even leaving aside the Conor McGregor, you know, on a per fight basis has brought in more in pay-per-views. Jon Jones has done so many pay-per-views, and that's got to count for something too. So,
yeah.
You know,
okay, let's conclude it with pay him, Dana.
Yeah, pay him.
Off to news. I have some great news.
What do you got?
We're kind of oh, sorry. So, news. Usman Nurmagamedov.
Wait,
Habib's
what?
cousin,
Yeah.
Usman Nurmagomedov,
Uh-huh.
who is signed a contract for Bellator,
Mm-hmm.
makes his USA debut on Friday, April 2nd.
Okay.
Did you know?
I didn't actually.
He is undefeated 11-0, comes in with a lot of hype. How can you say you don't know? You do know. I've posted on the podcast Instagram about it.
Yeah, I don't follow us.
Ooh. He's a Muay Thai fighter and a knockout artist who is said to be even better than Khabib, you know.
What?
Yes, undefeated, 11-0,
How
just
dare
likes to
they?
maul people. Yeah, it's great. I look forward to that. Since there's no UFC event this weekend, I'm going to
Mhm.
watch Bellator. I'm going to be a
That's
traitor.
that's a great choice. Yeah.
Yes. So watch that, everyone.
Mhm.
Oh, I should. If I would have been very professional, I would have looked that up, what time that is on in Sweden. Why didn't I do that?
It's okay.
So
People can
to all the
figure it out.
Swedish listeners, yes, call
People,
me, and I will figure it out for you.
she'll Google it for you.
Yes, I will. Call me 076. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's really, really. I mean, I'm very, very excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. You're just like,
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You just said like Khabib has a cousin and he's a Muay Thai fighter. And
super, super hyped.
how is he a Muay Thai fighter? I thought that was like I thought all the Dagestanis just wrestled.
You know, Ali Abdelaziz said that he's a perfect mix of Israel Adesanya, Jon Jones, and Khabib.
Okay, so he's the perfect fighter. Got it.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
is it even going to be a fight then? Who's the poor bastard who's going to get smashed by him?
Mike Hamel. I don't know if you pronounce it like that. Hamel.
Yeah, Hamel.
Hamel. Yeah. Hamish. Matt Hamel.
Yeah.
No, Mike Hamel.
Okay.
Let's do Hamel. So very excited about that one. Don't miss it, guys, on Friday, April 2nd. Do you have any news?
There's a few things here. I was just reading how Aljamain Sterling doesn't think that Peter Yan should get an immediate rematch now. Like as time has gone on, it seems like he's getting more and more salty and more like, I deserve this because
he's holding on to the belt.
Yeah, he thinks it was an intentional illegal knee. He said, quote, "I feel like his ass should have been suspended or something. Pay me some money for an illegal foul that might take years off of my career. Hey man, you're the champ now. You're going to get paid. Don't worry about it." Interesting. I mean, it's interesting because the way this appears, I mean, the way it's going to sound to fans is that he doesn't want to fight Peter Yan.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And I can
kind of stupid.
Yeah,
maybe kind of stupid, the whole thing.
It is. I mean, I guess move on, right? Like,
yes.
You're the champ. Like, there are lots of people who've been hit with illegal shots and stuff like that and got nothing out of it. You got to.
And actually, he was losing the fight.
Yeah.
Even before the illegal shot, which he says he wasn't. I mean, have you seen his tweets? He's like, I was winning the fight. Okay.
He was clearly losing.
Yes.
And not losing like horribly, but losing, and looked as if he was that Jan was going to finish him.
Losing. Yes.
One way or the other. And yeah, it's just not, he should move on. He should do the rematch. I don't know. I mean, he's been well compensated for the illegal blow, right? So
yes,
the best thing he could do is stop talking about it and focus on what's next. So, but I understand, like, people are probably asking about it a lot, but that's the whole point of moving on. Is like, the sooner he moves on and says, I'm not talking about this anymore, I'm focused on the future, he can put that narrative behind him, because there is nothing good about it except for the fact that he has the belt and will get paid as a champion in his next fight. Other than that, it's not good for his popularity, certainly for fans to feel like he was like faking an injury or something like that. I personally don't think he was, but because that was a nasty knee. But yeah, he needs to move on.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah.
Get
And
over it.
Luke Rockhold is still working on his comeback. Khabib is going to be one of his coaches now. What do we think about Khabib, the coach, and specifically coaching Luke Rockhold? Do you think Khabib should be encouraging Rockhold, or do you think he should be like, hey, brother,
No.
maybe you
Yeah,
should think about
no.
retiring and model?
Yes. Yes. No, I don't know if I even want to address this. No, I mean Habib has so many great fighters to coach. Why Luke Rockhold? And he's not been looking great lately.
Yeah, I mean they're old friends, obviously, right? So
So next is like Cain Velasquez. He's gonna coach Cain Velasquez next. It's
Cain
like
Velasquez,
there
last I
nay.
heard, well, Cain Velasquez is a bit older, and last I heard, he's very happy now doing a bit of professional wrestling in Mexico.
Luke
So
Rockhold should
yeah,
do that too.
but
No, I don't think that's a
yeah,
great idea.
but Luke Rockhold had a lot to say in a recent interview here about the way the UFC is run, and I want to read it real quick because honestly, I haven't even read this yet, but I'm curious to see what you think because it relates back to what we were saying earlier about some Dana White's comments. He said, Luke Rockhold said, fighting is like a mafia. They have these very mafioso type tactics and negotiations. They try to fuck with you. I'm not having any of it. If you don't know your worth, someone will tell you your worth and it'll be less than your worth. So know your worth. That's a very Luke Rockhold sentence. Believe, achieve.
Conceive, believe, achieve, right?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So he goes on to say, once I lost the world title, Dana White came up to me and tried to beat me down mentally. And I was like, fuck you, straight up. I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. If you're going to try and offer me this and that bullshit, you know who I am and what I did. And that's the only reason I went out and got a modeling contract so I could leverage myself. Then you've got Dana and them like, hey, Luke, do you want this amount of money? Do you want that? And I was like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker.
So you're a poet now?
Exactly. And
no, I think he's a little bit he's a little bit cringy, but he has a point.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I mention all this is because it's related to Dana White and Jon Jones and this whole negotiation that's happening right now is yeah, I think.
But I mean, Jon Jones is Jon Jones, period. I mean,
for sure.
the other ones, Luke Rockhold, yeah.
But
I mean, but Jon Jones is Jon Jones. He's what do you call it when you can't compare him to anyone? Uncomparable.
Yeah,
I
but
just made that up.
Incomparable. But
that's not the same thing. You always say that I say things right just to be nice.
No,
and then I go around here thinking that I can speak
it is the
English.
same thing. Incomparable means without an equal in quality or extent, matchless. That's Jon Jones.
So what's uncomparable?
Same thing.
Okay. Yeah. For me, just okay.
Actually, that might not be a word.
I know because
but you only got one letter wrong.
Incomparable.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I said.
That is what you said. That's what I heard.
Yes. So, but you know what, my old Harry, my old buddy, old pal.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about next week?
Not a damn thing, because for the first time this year, there's no UFC this weekend, and so I'm just going to cry myself to sleep on Saturday night.
So we're just going to talk about Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori.
And Bellator.
All night long, and Bellator.
Yeah.
Usman Nurmagamedov, which you don't even know about.
I know but I don't.
Go on Google. When you press end.
Yeah.
End or whatever you press, then you go on Google and you Google Usman Nurmagomedov.
I'm a terrible fight fan because I have no idea what's going on with Bellator.
And you're going to watch all his fights on YouTube.
Okay.
Or wherever you watch them.
I'll do it. But here's
next week you'll be a Nurmagomedov expert. and
Here's
all
what
his family.
here's what I want to do for real though. Since now I have a friend who's a bookie, I need you to help me to make some funny bets that I'll
Mm.
win. You know what
So
I made
on the
though?
next event.
I made some bets for 261. I made a parlay of so today and yesterday, it's the final 8 teams of the basketball tournament.
Hmm.
And I feel like this is kind of the safest round to bet because in the earlier rounds, when it's like 64 teams, 32 teams, 16 teams, a lot of times the underdogs get an upset. But once you get down to 8, it's like usually you've got some of the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, you've got some of the top teams playing these like 6 seeds, 11 seeds. And this is where the underdogs who've been winning usually lose. So right now, so far, 2 of 4 games have been played. The first 2 games, the underdogs lost. I think these next 2 games, the underdogs are going to lose too. So this is my bet right now. I picked 3 of the top teams to win. One of them won yesterday. 2 of them play today. So I need those 2 to win as well. And then I also added to the parlay Shevchenko winning and Usman winning.
So what do you need me to do? Come to the point.
I need you to tell me for this next fight card, we got to pick out some good locks of the night because I have no idea. I mean, we'll talk about it next week. But I think this next fight card...
that was the point. that was the point.
This next fight card is really hard.
Right.
The odds are really close. So
we'll figure it out. We're experts over here.
You're the betting expert.
Swedish experts.
Yeah, I defer to you.
Yeah.
You're like outside of the sphere of Vegas influence.
I know.
Yeah, we get all fucked up.
I'm the greatest.
I know.
I'm like Muhammad Ali.
And Jon Jones.
Yes, and Jon Jones actually. So tune in next week to get some professional expert betting
advice.
Betting advice.
Yes.
Great word. Betting advice. And listen to us rant on about whatever. And how great Darren Till is.
We'll turn all of you UFC fans into Bellator fans next week as well as we talk about that.
Yes.
And then look ahead to the next UFC fight. So
perfect. Follow us on Instagram. Very important.
Yes.
Adore us. Love us.
Follow us everywhere. Walk in our shadow.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Right. See ya.
I'm fixing to go full on crazy here.